have decided I'm going to do kind of a walkthrough of the car because this is unlike anything I've ever had. You know, it's a total rethinking of what a car can be. So we're looking at, you know, the front dash, and the biggest thing is that there's nothing in front of the driver. So you have a really clear view of the world. It looks like you're sitting in a bubble. And there's a big screen in the middle that has all of your controls, including the speedometer. Everything you do through the car is done through that. And then the same thing on the passenger side. One of the really cool features are those air vents across the whole front of the car. The air is redirected based on what you tell it on the screen, and it's controlled by air that blows up from the bottom that redirects and steers the air. So you can pinpoint where the air goes without any mechanical parts to it. The interior of my car is an upgrade premium white. It's sort of like, you know, apple white. They call this vegan leather, but it's some kind of high quality synthetic, and even the white is designed to not pick up stains or get dirty. You can clean it real easily and it should last a long time. Another feature of the car is that the entire roof is glass. It goes from the front hood up over the front and then continues around the back to the back of the car. I'm doing this from inside because it's pretty nasty out today, but this is showing, turn on some more light here, that glass roof from the outside. There's really two panels, actually I guess three panels, one for the windshield, and then that comes up to the middle part of the top, and then that goes all the way down around to the back. One of the big features of Teslas is that they have something called Autopilot, where they're designed to drive themselves. To do that, there's 7 cameras around the car. There's one in the back, and then there's an array in the front of wide angle and focus lenses up here, as well as a radar in the front of the car. So it creates a 360-degree view while you're out on the road. It's aware of everything that's around you. Trying to get a sound check of the car from outside, but when you step out of the car, it mutes the stereo.
Feel the resistance, it's getting consistent. Can't take the heat from the stand to your feet. Bio movements are coming on strong. Hey, talk to them, let's get it on.
That's a sound bar across the dash. There are 5 speakers up there. With a speaker up here and the A pillar, one down there, one down here. 2 more in the back doors, and then 2 more speakers on the back deck, and the bass driver in the trunk with a port into the cabin. I just realized that I never named my car, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. My first Defiant was the blue Corvette, and the second one was the ATS-V, and this car is now going to be Defiant 3. This is the default view when you are driving around, or what you keep up on the screen most of the time. You can open up the frunk from here, the front trunk, open up the rear trunk, open up the battery charger. This allows you to turn on the remote camera while you're driving or anytime you want. And this is your charging status, and this is how you bring up the car's version of Siri. Down here there's sliding panels that let you do different things. That's where the controls for the wipers are. And what is this one? This one should have the tire pressure, but because we're off, it's probably not showing. And then up here, that's saying that we're charging. That's where the speed would be if I was driving. And then that's the fuel gauge. It's got 136 miles it can go on the current charge. And it's going to take another 21 hours, almost 22 hours to get back up to a full charge from there on 110 volts, which is really slow. The controls along the bottom are the fixed controls, volume, the standard climate kinds of controls here. I'm in sync mode right now. If I bring up the fan control, this allows you to control either the seat heats, all 5 positions in the car have seat heating. The folks in the back don't have controls themselves. They have to be controlled by the panel, but the controls for the front are either on the screen or the buttons down there. And then you also control airflow, probably because, oh, there we go. Yeah. So you get this cool graphic of where the air is flowing out of these bands across the whole front of the car. So you can do this and move the airflow where it goes within the car. So you can blow it up over your head, you can blow it down towards your chest or right in your face, because there's a gap here that comes right into your face there, or you can turn it to the sides. You can separate it and create a gap where you are. You have really granular control. And the way it works, I'm not sure if this will show up, but there's air blowing straight out, and then there are these vents up here that blow air up that redirect the air that's coming straight towards you. Pretty cool design. I've never seen anything like that before in a car. All of the car controls are over here, so the things that you would do more often, the glove box is actually open from here. And that button stays on pretty much all of these sub-panels. Quick controls are for lights. Most things I leave in auto. You control your mirrors through here. And one of the nice things about the controls in the car, it's very little controls. There's these joystick controls here, and then a button up here for the emergency flashers, the buttons for the windows, and then the button to get out of the car there. That's it. And then the stalks. This stalk over here is wipers and turn signals like a traditional car. And then the one over here is the gear shifter, as well as how you engage autopilot and the parking. So now that I've got it in the mirror mode, this control over here will control the left mirror right now, or the right, depending on what I do. I'm not going to change that because I've got it set. And then I can change to the right mirror. And then you can also control the steering wheel from here. So I can move the steering wheel up and down and in and out with that control. Window lock, which nobody ever uses. I keep display brightness on auto. Lights also on auto. Dome lights on auto. Ambient lights turned on. Auto high beam. Oh, headlights after exit, I want that one on. And steering wheel lights, there are lights in those joysticks that will light up at night. Locks are a little bit different in this car because your phone is your primary key. When you approach the car senses your phone and unlocks. The other keys that come with the car are card keys, like a hotel key. So when you let someone else drive your car, you give them a card they put in their wallet. And then the standard lock features, unlock or park, sound for lock, and walk away lock, automatic locking when you leave the car. Display mode auto, so it'll switch to night and dim itself by itself. Screen clear mode is to allow you to clean the screen without it having reactions. It'll turn off the touch. Like tire pressures and all the standard things, switching between kilometers and miles. Driving gives you control over how the car drives. Acceleration is either in chill mode. Because these cars are so aggressive, they give you that to kind of tone them down, and then sport is normal. This car will do 0 to 60 in about 3.1 to 3.2 seconds. And it's different than a regular car in that there's nothing to spool up. There's no gears to change, there's no turbos to spin up, no revs to increase in the engine to build power. When you hit the accelerator, you have all the torque and it just goes. You can control it. The steering should be on sport. And regenerative braking, people struggle with that word, is using the momentum of the car to turn the motors back in the generator. So when you take your foot off the brake or off the gas, even when you back off on the accelerator, it slows the car down. So you don't have to touch the brakes until it gets down to about 5 miles an hour, and then you hit the brakes. So the brakes on this car will last like 150,000 miles because they almost never have to be used. That's maintenance in general on this car is pretty straightforward because there isn't all the mechanical stuff you have in a regular car. The first service is in 2 years, and then there's another service in 4 years. So roughly every 2 years, it's going to require service other than rotating tires. There's a track mode you can turn on, so the car will get hyper aggressive and turn off some of the controls to allow you to slide the car around. Creep, the way electric cars work, when you stop, they stop, and until you hit the accelerator, they don't move. Creep lets it feel like a regular car where you creep forward a little bit when you take your foot off the brake, and then slip start also kind of lets it mimic a regular car's behavior. Autopilot is probably the coolest feature of this car. This allows the car, they're very careful about what they describe it as. They don't want to say that it's self-driving because they're not legally able to get there yet. The technology is built into the car, it's pretty much ready to go, but they keep rolling out various things as time goes on. For example, there was a release maybe a month ago that introduced something called Navigate on Autopilot, where once you get the car on the highway, you tell it where you want to go, and then it will navigate you there. It will change lanes, it will move to interchanges. Until you get off the highway, it's going to drive the car for you. One thing about what's called auto steer is that you have to let the car know that you're paying attention, so that once a minute it'll ask you to put your hand on the steering wheel. So I tend to hold my hand down here so it kind of knows I'm here. That will go away once they enable full auto driving mode. So we've got auto steer. All of these features are called beta because they don't want to say that they're done yet because they're building on the capability. But there's auto steer, navigate on autopilot. You can customize that so that you can control how aggressive it is as it's driving you on the highway. And they even include a Mad Max mode that's supposed to be much more aggressive. Summon, another beta feature, is pretty cool right now. It just allows you to move your car forward, in and out of a parking space. So if you're in a tight space, you can back it up by itself or forward it out of a parking space. You can use it to park in your garage. Summon, in a release that's supposedly weeks away, is going to allow you to have your car come to you. Actually, it will park itself. You get out of the car, you tell it to go find a parking space, and it will go do that. And when you're ready for it, you tell it to come back, and it comes back and finds you with your phone, and you get back in the car. So that's one of those auto drive capabilities that is being layered on. Some controls around that autopilot. Forward warning collision is typical of most modern cars now. Lane departure control, automatic emergency braking, and this one down here is pretty cool. The car uses its automatic features to avoid an accident. An example of that, a coworker told me a friend of theirs had their car that was on the highway driving next to a semi that was driving into them. Before they noticed it, the car detected it, moved to the left, and accelerated out of the truck's way and avoided being hit. Moved on to navigation. Aside from the specific features for Tesla, it's fairly standard. It's got a really good mapping system, but it allows you to include in its routing planned stops at superchargers. And then online routing is using real-time data to route you around things, and you can control how much time you want to save and let it factor that into its algorithms. On the safety and security panel, there are things, this is where you would actually turn off the car. The car's pretty much always on, and even when you turn it off, it's still running. It's just not operational. One thing that's cool in this is something I've not seen before, is there's a cabin overheat protection, so that if you do happen to forget and leave your child in the car will automatically cool or heat the car if it gets outside of a comfortable range or a safe range. Because the car is pretty much software driven, you have the ability, the owner's manual is built in here, and the car will update itself like a phone as needed. There was a software update done last night after I took delivery. So if I go here, I can see the release notes, and these are the things that were added in that release. The previous release just before that added track mode and navigate on autopilot, and made some adjustments to key management. Version 9 is the major change that happened. We're on the 9 release now, and some point build of that. This is pretty cool. Oh, that's right, a dash cam is available now. So I need to add a USB stick so I can turn that on. This car is pretty much a computer on wheels. There is a set of applications built in. You have a calendar that you can integrate with your Google calendar. Most of the features in the car are kind of Google centric. Measuring efficiency is going to be a bit different than a gas car. They're measured in watt hours per mile, and anything below 300, 250 is really efficient. I have not been exactly nice to the car since I got it, so my consumption's a little bit high right now. There's the backup camera. You can look at the current charging status. So I'm plugged in the garage right now and getting right now only 3 miles per hour of charge into the battery, because I am using the car right now. I've got the seat heaters on and it's doing a lot of things, so I've taken away some of its ability. Normally with 120 volts, 20 amps, it will charge at 5 miles per hour. Once I get in a NEMA 14-50 plug, a dryer plug, I should be getting go closer to 40 miles per hour with that. I can make calls through here, and another thing that's pretty cool is there's a built-in web browser that uses either the LTE or the Wi-Fi if it's connected. And I guess considering that this car is eventually going to be self-driving, they don't restrict the use of this, so you can use the web browser pretty much anytime you want. So that's kind of different. So I just got my car connected to the house Wi-Fi. That's pretty cool. That'll be used for updates and web browsing and anything the car needs to for its telemetry and its ability to dial back into Tesla anytime it needs to. So that's enough for now. I've had the car for 4 days and it already feels normal, and I've gotten over, being concerned about the screen in the middle, and it feels like I've been using something like that for a while. It will, though, take a while to get used to the acceleration. As much as I love to accelerate, yesterday I accelerated so quickly from a light that I felt nauseous afterwards, almost like a roller coaster. So I'm going to have to learn to moderate that.